are back, baby, and it is Saturday. Damn it, we made it. It is GunzPicks. It is the Breakin show. I am your host with the most, the point guard of podcasting, the absolute CBB self-proclaimed GOAT. It is GunzPicks. I bring the energy, I bring the heat, and I bring the plays that pay the bills. Firing shots as always, but I'm not doing it alone today. You know why? Because we're bringing back the team. If you remember the OG Breaking Ankles show, you remember this guy. You've seen him on PubSports. You've seen him do the live streams. He has a live stream today, noon East, for the Houston and Baylor game. I will be on that as well with him. It is my guy, the man, Dabby Cab. What's up? In the building. Hit the horn.
Yeah. What up, Guns? What up, chat, man? I'm ready. These Saturdays are like Christmas. Every morning I wake up on Saturday, it's like Christmas when we got college basketball, man.
Yeah, of course, we got my guy, Michael, always joining us. Called me Gumba. He's typing way too fast. He must have had too much caffeine this morning. Love Michael. Chat. Oh, I just throw up a burp there. Jay Laddie in the building. Said, what's going on? Cheers to you, my guy. All right, we're going to get this started. Talking about this game here that is going to be on Dabby's live stream on PubSports, 12 p.m., and I have a bet on it, and I'm going to be firing on this one here. It is Houston. It is Baylor. We're talking Foster Pavilion, noon East. Waco, Texas is the spot. I think Dabby knows a little bit about Texas, but I'm going to be going with Baylor on this one as the dog, short dog here, plus 2.5, 1.5 unit play. Let me tell you why. If there's a weak point of the Houston defense, or actually the team in general, it's the shooting. They're ranked 234th in field goal percentage, 155th in three-point percentage, and 263rd in two-point percentage, 310th in field free throw percentage. So offensively, this Houston team, there's a reason why Houston hits unders all the time. It's because they can't score points, but they are good on the defensive end. You know why? Number one in defensive efficiency in the country, but they'll be facing a Baylor offense that's ranked 4th in offensive efficiency, 9th in field goal percentage, and number 3 in the country in three-point land. This isn't uncharted territory for Baylor either. They've faced some really good defenses with the numbers that they've got. We're talking Iowa State at home, ranked 2nd in defensive efficiency, won that game 70-68. They face Auburn on a neutral court. Auburn's ranked 4th in defensive efficiency. They beat them 88-82. They face Kansas on the road. They're 8th in defensive efficiency. They lost the game 63-61. However, it's tough to play in the fog. 5.5-point road dogs. They covered that spread. Houston on the road this year has completely underperformed. You look at their numbers, they're just bad. They average 78 points per game at home. However, on the road, 68.1 points per game. Defensive side, they allow 49.2 points per game at home, but on the road, 63.7 points per game. They gave up 78 to Kansas, who was ranked 45th in offensive efficiency. They gave 72 up to Texas, that's ranked 27th in offensive efficiency, and Baylor's got the 4th ranked offensive efficient offense in the country. And there's a reason why Houston is 4-3 straight up, 1-6 ATS on the road this season, and they were favored in every single spot, just like this one. Houston, while winning 4 out of the last 5, they're also 1-4 ATS. This team is not backable on the road and currently. So with all that being said, I think Houston is highly inflated. I think they can make a tournament run. I'm not going to take anything away from this Houston team, but I think this is a Baylor spot here at home. Foster Pavilion will be rocking, and I'm rocking the green with the Baylor Bears. Give me Baylor plus 2.5, 1.5 unit special. And I know you're going to be watching that game. Do you have any thoughts on the Houston and Baylor game?
Yeah, I got 2 bets for this game for you guys. And I know a lot of people don't dabble in props with college basketball. Well, maybe you should, because props in college basketball are a beautiful fucking thing. We got LJ Cryer here for Houston, who, is returning back to Waco to play for the first time since he transferred from Baylor. He's the guard for Houston that transferred from Baylor. They got his points set at 12.5. He is averaging 15 points on the season, but 12.5 at -120 for a homecoming is something that I cannot pass up. So I am on LJ Cryer over 12.5 points. And then I've got somebody from the other side with you in Baylor, Jacoby Walter. He's been struggling from deep a little bit lately, but I tell you what, the freshman can shoot. He can shoot from the perimeter. He can shoot in close, but his numbers have just been steadily dropping. Well, they say big players show up in big games, Guns. This is about as big as a game gets. So I'm going to take Jacoby Walter over 1.5 3-point field goals. That's at minus 118. So I got Jacoby Walter over 1.5 threes at minus 118 and LJ Cryer over 12.5 points at minus 120.
I love it. I love it. You picked out a good situation. You picked out a player playing his old team. He's going to be motivated to go into that game. I think you had the props accurately on this one, but we got to talk to the chat real quick before Dabby has some plays too. He just gave you some props, but I know he likes some sides as well. Peter Grazia in the chat says Guns is firing. Bang, bang. 2 guns for that one.
I mean, we just gave you guys 3 bets in one college game like that.
That's right. We're firing shots on a beautiful Saturday morning here. And Dutch, my guy in the building. What it be like, fellas? Bang. If Dutch tells you to hit the thumbs up, you hit the thumbs up. That's what you do. And of course, Peter loves Dabby in the house. And of course, Michael, he's a play fire, and he's always in the chat firing plays. A lot he's loving. He likes Baylor money line, Oklahoma State money line, Wake Forest money line, Ole Miss -2, Kentucky money line, Colorado minus. This dude's firing shots. Give him a gun for that one. UCF money line. I got like 10 more. Let's get paid today. I love it. I'm aligned with you on a lot of these. We're going to talk about him in a second, but let's get into Dabby. He has a couple plays. Actually, just throw one out there right now for the people. You're muted.
I got to do it at least once on your show. You ready for me to go ahead and take this?
Fire it up.
All right. So I got on this one earlier, man. I got on it last night at the money line. I think the money line is a little bit juiced now, but you can get a -1 or a -1.5. I'm taking us out here to Kentucky. We're going to look at this Alabama Crimson Tide versus the Kentucky Wildcats game. Alabama's sitting at 19-7 right now, 15-10 ATS, so they have been making you money if you've been backing them. On the other side, you got the Wildcats 18-8. They are also 15-11 ATS. So both these teams have been pretty good to you if you've been backing them. Crimson Tide, they're coming off that home win against Florida on Wednesday. That was a big win. That game, did it go into double overtime or just
which game you talking about?
Florida, Alabama?
Florida, Alabama. No, single
overtime. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it went into overtime. I wasn't sure if it went to double overtime or not. But this is a big game here. Alabama did beat Kentucky 78-52 in their only meeting last season. And Alabama's got that high-flying offense. They're the best 3-point shooting team in the country. Alabama's coming into this game. They're winning games. But it's always a challenge to come win at Rupp Arena here. The Wildcats right now, they've won 3 of their last 4 SEC games. That includes that big 70-59 road win over the Auburn squad, which is good. So it seems like they've got momentum. But where they have been struggling actually of late is at the crib. They lost to Tennessee recently, and then they turned around after that, and they lost to Gonzaga at home. So I really think this Kentucky team, who is a good team, very young, 6th youngest team in all of college basketball, by the way, but a very young Kentucky team. I got to imagine they're excited to get home against good competition and post a W here. And this, like I said, this Alabama team can shoot, but if they're even off just a little bit, if they're clicking just a little bit, they're going to have issues. Alabama is averaging 33 per games. 33-point shots per games, but I don't think they're going to have as much success from beyond the arc here. The Wildcats, one thing that they do decent on defense is hold opponents to below 31% from beyond the arc. Their defense does have holes in it, but that's one of the things they do well because their guards are quick. They're able to get out on the perimeter quickly, and their holes are more down low. I think this is a perfect matchup for Kentucky to bounce back at home and finally get a home win against a big squad. Like I said, I took Kentucky on the money line here, but I like the points if you got to lay the points at this point in time.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. And I know this game is at looks like 4:00 today. I can't talk you off that one. You got Kentucky caught in a situation with their pants down in their last game, right, against LSU. 6.5 points. They were up 15 at one point. They let them come back in the game, and all of a sudden they lose at the buzzer. They're going to be fired up for this one. They come off that big win, highs of highs versus Auburn. We did accurately take LSU. If you watch the daily plays, I did have LSU plus 6.5. That hit. I kind of got lucky a little bit, but however, it was a sandwich game. They were looking at this game. They're going to be motivated here at home in Rupp Arena to go get the job done. versus a good Alabama team that, quite frankly, better at home than they are on the road. I think it's a perfect spot, but I think if you want to be safe on this one, you got -2, -2.5 on the board. Money line's probably what, -130, 135 or something like that. You might as well just cut the points out and take them on the money line. It's fine. If you're willing to take baseball bets at 145, 150, why can't you take my money line on a basketball game at -130? I like it.
Yeah, I got -118, but yeah, it's about
Yeah,
-135
perfect.
now. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Minus
but I'm saying right now it's like we're seeing 2s and 2.5s at the board. So you're probably looking at a -130 type of situation. But yeah, shop around, find your best number. I can't talk you off Kentucky. I might add that to my card as well. Let's talk about another game that I got on the board here. We're gonna go play a little Big 12 action here. 2 p.m. East is the tip at Bramlage Coliseum, Manhattan, Kansas. It's BYU. It's Kansas State. And I'm going to take this hat off and put on my Wildcats hat because we're going to be rocking Kansas State today versus BYU, the Cougs, plus 1.5. 1.5 unit play. Let me tell you what's going on with these two teams. You got BYU's offense. They're great. 8th in offensive efficiency, 16th in field goal percentage, but they're facing a good defense in Kansas State. They can defend against good offenses. 14th in defensive efficiency and 16th in defending shots. So they match up pretty well versus this BYU team. Kansas State, while not having the greatest offense in the world, they're 180th in offensive efficiency. Their numbers improve when they play at home. They average 73.7 points per game at home versus 68.5 points per game on the road. BYU is a team that has significant drop-offs when they go on the road. If you look at their numbers on the road, on the road, they average 77.4 points per game, but at home, they average 86.8 points per game. They're one of the best scoring teams in the country, granted, but I think on the road, they play absolutely flat basketball. And if you look at BYU on the road this season, 2-5 straight up, 1-6 ATS, and this includes a 10-point loss to Oklahoma State of all teams, which is ranked in the hundreds in KenPom. These two teams did meet on February 10th. BYU won the game 72-66 as 11-point home favorites, and the line has significantly gone down to 1.5 at this point. We're talking a 9-point swing, 8.5-point swing here. This is why we're going to be jumping on this one. It's a revenge spot for Kansas State. They play well at home. They're playing against a bad road team, and Kansas State is a short dog when they were a double-digit dog on the road versus this BYU team. It tells a story. The line tells a story. We're wearing a hat for a reason. Give me Kansas State plus 1.5, and that's 1.5 unit banger, baby. As we go back to the chat, Peter, loving it. The awesome boys, two great cappers. Thank you. Peter is always with us every single show. And then Michael giving his analytics here. Kentucky money line, horrible loss. Bama off OT, correct? Bama sober line on the 3 ball. Bama shooting 40% from 3 at home. On the road, that drops to 32%. I think Dabby was talking about all this stuff. Kentucky tall guards will bother Bama's best player, Sears. Can't disagree with you there. All right. Next play, Dabby. What do you got for us? You muted.
I said, let me set this plane down that I got rolling. It's about time to take flight here. But
yeah, let's go. Give me
yeah. There we go. My guy EQ showing up out there in the chat too. What up, EQ?
EQ's always in the chat here on the GunzPicks channel too. Love EQ. Kaboom!
Now we're looking here for my next spot that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about this North Carolina versus Virginia game. I don't stray away from the big games. I like the big games. So I'm going to look at the Tar Heels on the road here, making the trip to take on the Cavaliers this Saturday afternoon. North Carolina, they're coming in after that 96-81 home win over Virginia Tech in their previous contest last Saturday. They covered the line there as an 11-point favorite. It was an impressive game. And then you look at what Virginia's coming off. They're coming off that 75-41 loss to the Virginia Tech squad. Now we don't look at this team beat this team and that team beat that team. So blah, blah. No, it's every game is its own matchup. Every game, the coach has their team completely prepared. It's a whole different thing. But it's definitely worth noting here. Virginia's going to be really, really frustrated, ready to get back on the court. And we're going to see, does that really matter? Do they have the offense to do anything, even if they are frustrated? Virginia struggled to put up points all season long. They put up 49 and 41 points respectively in their last two games. Just absolutely terrible. They're elite on defense. Don't get me wrong. They're one of the best defensive squads in all of the country. But their inability to do anything on the offensive end is going to be an issue here, especially against, this North Carolina team who's average on defense. They've been playing a lot better defense of late than, what we're used to seeing from North Carolina. But what they are is they're very good offensively. And they're going to hold a major advantage on the glass here in this game. And when we talk about a low scoring team like Virginia, if they're going to get out rebounded, if they're going to not get very many second chance opportunities, I think they could be in a hornet's nest here again. I think they might be up for another ass beating. Baycott and company, like I said, they're going to be able to control the board here for North Carolina. And if the Cavaliers struggle to shoot the ball, which is what we all expect them to do, because that's what the Cavaliers do, even being at home is not going to be a solution for these woes that this team has. There's a massive disparity at the charity stripe here. If you look at the free throw percentage from both of these teams, I got to give the upper hand to North Carolina, even as a visitor. I know how hard it is to win on the road here. So I'm going to avoid the full game. But what I did bet is North Carolina in the first half -1, -115, or actually -1, -110. Excuse me. I think North Carolina is just hands down the better team here. Virginia's offense is too bad. Their defense can play good, but it's not going to be enough to keep them in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the situation for this game. You said Virginia just got their butt whooped in with against the Hokies. You have UNC that has had a week off, basically. They've had 7 days off. They hadn't played this week, whereas Virginia have. There could be a rust factor there. This UNC team, though, they're built to make a very deep tournament run. They're juniors and seniors. They have one good freshman there in Kando. Armando Baycock has been there for 37 years. RJ Davis is one of the best players in the country and a contender for the National Player of the Year. I mean, the teams, if anything, if there's a weak point with this team is their depth, but this team is exceptional. They're good inside. They have great guards. They can make tournament runs. I think UVA is going to have their hands full. However, they could be extremely motivated from a game situation, but you're cutting the game in half. You're looking at the first half, of course. So we'll see what happens on this one. You could see a UNC coming out with a big lead, UVA coming back.
But I do that, Guns. How does a team that can only score 40 fucking points a game?
It's a defense. It's a defense. I mean, this is they play so much better on the defensive side at home versus they do on the road. College is weird where the motivations are for a lot of these teams. You have this team with a week off. You don't know what happened in that week. Was the practices hard? Are they motivated and prepared for this game? Where UVA just got mollywopped.
They're tied for first place in the ACC with Duke, so they better fucking be motivated, because if they lose this game, they're no longer in first place.
Well, Duke's got their hand full today on the road versus Wake Forest, and I'll get to that game in a second.
I'm just saying, if we're talking motivation, keeping first place is a pretty good thing to be motivated.
I agree for sure. I mean, but yeah, I think they're playing for a 1 seed in the tournament. I think they're sitting at a 2 right now. So, yeah, there is a motivational factor there, but there's still a lot of season left to go get that done. I mean, you still build your resume because you still have Duke at the end of the year. And for Duke's perspective, they have a couple games coming up on the board that's still going to build a resume for them. But we'll see how the game goes. That's why they have to play the games. Opinions matter. Debate. Always embrace it. And I'm not hating on UNC at all. I think they're a great team. I think they're great to take a future on to win the national championship. In my opinion, I think they have the recipe to win it all.
Baylor.
Baylor too. I agree with you on Baylor too. Absolutely.
So, I think that we're in the same boat here, because you and I could tell by you saying UNC that you and I have the same eyes for Baylor and UNC seem like the same team to me. I don't know. I know that sounds a little weird, but they feel like the exact same team, that if either of them get hot at the right time, they make a run.
Yeah. I mean, if there's an advantage that UNC has is on the defensive side of the ball, Baylor does have an advantage on the offensive side of the ball. We could see them meet in the national championship. We'll see how the brackets come out. But Fowlish in the building says, hello there. My girl Let's go. Hit the horn. Of course, Michael coming in there. What do you think of Arizona State Wazoo game, Guns? I kind of like the Sun Devils money line. I think they might beat Wazoo in double digits. I think situational. If you just look at the situation, look where Arizona State came from. They were down 29 at one point. Bobby Hurley pulls everybody off the bench and says, "You go in, take the starters out." And they start making the comeback, get the team rolling again, tie the game, bring them into overtime. They get the loss at home, and they're going against a Wazoo team coming off the immaculate win over Arizona. So highest of highs for for Wazoo, and then you have an Arizona State team coming off a tough loss where they fought back. I think the way to look at this is maybe first half Arizona State, because I think they come out firing, taking that momentum that they came from the second half and move that into this game here versus this Washington State team. That's what I'm thinking right now. So if I had to lean one way or the other, I'd say Arizona State. Do you have any thoughts on that game, Cabby?
Arizona State's coach took their entire starting five out of the game whenever they were getting their ass beat that last game.
Yep.
And the second string brought them all the way back, which is impressive. Yeah, everything you said lines up and makes sense. If I had to make a bet, Arizona State first half makes sense. But personally, and if you haven't noticed with me talking about Duke and North Carolina and Houston, I'm not really interested in betting a team where their whole starting five just got taken out the game before. I get it. It makes sense. It lines up. I understand the angle. So if you're going after it, get that cash. But for me, I'll stay away from that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way I'd look at it, but I haven't seen what time that game starts. That might be a later game on the left coast. I obviously haven't got it there. I've only got to the 4:00 slate. Of course, I do late night bangers later, and we'll go back to the back half of the game. But let's go into the next game here that I'm on here, and it's Duke versus Wake Forest. Joel's Coliseum, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, just up the road on Tobacco Road. There's like 4 or 5 schools that are on this path here in the ACC. Big game here for Wake Forest, and I think they get it done, and they beat my Duke Blue Devils here. Taking them on the money line here, minus 130 is the number I got. I think it's at 2.5 now. So that number, if you shop around, you can get pretty close to that. I'm going to take it as a 1.5 unit play. Let me tell you why. Listen, Duke offense ranks 7th in offensive efficiency, but they're going to get up against a Wake Forest defense that's pretty good themselves. 28th in defensive efficiency, and they hold their opponents to 65.1 points per game at home. Wake Forest also ups their game at home. If you look at their numbers, there's a big discrepancy versus home versus away splits. They put up 85.2 points per game at home versus 72.7 points per game on the road. Also, you got to look at Wake Forest, 14-0 straight up at home this season, 7-0 straight up versus conference opponents, 7-2 ATS in their last 9 home games. Duke, they're hot right now, right? Winning and covering 5 straight since their road loss to UNC. But they're finding themselves in a weird position in the dog roll, which they found themselves versus UNC. And you know what happened in that game? These two teams did meet on February 12th. Duke did win the game 77-69 to 7-point favorites. Now the line is completely shifted the other way to 2.5 Duke is the dog. 9.5 point swing 10 days later. That's a huge line swing, and we always take advantage of those huge line swings. Also, Wake Forest has covered 3 out of the last 4 versus Duke didn't cover in the last game. It's also a situational spot that I love. A ranked road dog versus an unranked home favorite. We always like to take those positions when we see them on the board, and we're going to take them here again. Plus, Wake Forest has 9 losses. They're still playing for their tournament lives, back against the wall type of situation, where Duke doesn't really need this win. They got 5 losses. They're kind of playing positions right now, and they have bigger games coming up on the road. They may overlook this Wake Forest team, where Wake Forest is going to be pepped up here on the road in a revenge spot. Check boxes all across the board. Give me Wake Forest minus 130 as my best bet of the day. Ring the bell like the stock exchange. How you doing?
There you go. Hey, it ain't all cupcakes and rainbows here. I told you I wouldn't say it. I am on Duke first half, but I'll root for you on that full game.
Yeah, I mean, you can have the first half. I just want the game. That's it.
There you go.
That's it.
I had last week, I do show with Jimmy. It was with Mike. I know you know Mike Money, our guy Pimp Slap. 2 different situations where he had full game and I had first half and we both cashed. So it happens. I know
Yeah, it does.
I know it feels like a unicorn, but it's really not. It happens
th-
a lot more than people think.
I think we've done that on college football streams together too. It's like, the first half, I'll take the game. That's it.
Yep.
So yeah, it does work out that way sometimes. Of course, Peter, loving the points that you bring into the table here. And of course, Michael saying 3rd road game in a row for Duke. Yeah, that's a coup. Back to back road games for them. Yep, that's another good point there. And they're coming off that blowout win versus Miami, a team that they have not figured out in years on the road versus Miami too. That's another key point there. They blew them out of the water there. So yeah, it's a Wake Forest spot away. That's why it's my best bet. I love that play a lot. Even though it's my team, I'll take the loss as long as I cash my ticket. Dabby, what other games do you got on the board today?
I got one other one for you guys that I think compared to the ones we've been talking about might go a little bit under the radar here. I'm going to look at this Oregon-California game. And I tell you what, Oregon has been a cash cow for me this year. I know they haven't been cashing every bet, but for me personally, when I have chose to bet them and I've doubled up on them a couple times, I'm 5-0 betting the Ducks this year. So shout out to the Ducks. They've been really good to my bankroll here. And this is, Pac-12. Get excited as you can for Pac-12. It's not that exciting, I know. But Oregon Ducks, 18-8 right now in the season, 14-12 ATS. Going to take on the Cal Golden Bears, 12-15 straight up, 13-14 ATS. These teams met once a month ago in Eugene. California did lose that game 80-73. I don't have the spread in front of me on that one, so I'm not sure what it was. But one thing I'll talk about Oregon is we always talk about how the road is so tough in college basketball. It's so hard for so many teams. One team that's fared well on the road is Oregon. They're not one of those teams. Their numbers are right in line with their season average, whether they're at home or on the road, pretty much across the board. The Ducks right now 6-3 on the road. Their last couple games have been against weaker Pac-12 schools, but they've still been able to win those. And with this spread so tight, I mean, I don't see how you don't take Oregon. Maybe it's bait. Call it bait if you want. But the Ducks, they're far more efficient offensively. They allow fewer points defensively. In the first matchup, you could see these teams weren't really that evenly matched. The rebounding, the turnovers were close. But the Ducks offense is better, and I just can't help it. I'm going to roll with the Ducks to win this game. I got Ducks first half. I got Ducks full game here. You said that was your best bet on the board. I'll go ahead and say this is my best bet on the board. I like Oregon to cover first half and full game. I got to run away with this. And Oregon's they're not on the bubble. They're not even in the first 4 out right now. And they were, before they lost that game to Washington State, they were the last 4 in. So they went from the last 4 in to not even on the bubble. And since then, they've done nothing but win. So, I mean, Oregon's got to keep winning. They have to keep winning. And if you have to keep winning, I think Cal is a pretty good team to have a 1.5 point spread to back Oregon with.
Yeah. I think you hit it right. It is like first of all, we got to hit the ring because Dabby just said he just gave. Love it. But you said it right. I think Cal is good to take as a big dog on the road. But other than that, I leave Cal alone. I think you're on the right path there. You have a team that's on the bubble that needs to win, and continue to win to even build that resume up to even be considered to be first 4 in or whatever it is to get into this tournament. I can't talk you off that play at all. And then Peter just says I have to bet Oregon. Wife is alumni. I mean, you can't. I guess, yeah. I don't disagree with you there. You can't fade your wife, as they say.
They do better on the road because they're not on that ugly ass court. Their home court is so ugly. Have you ever seen Oregon's home?
Yeah,
court?
it's like a shadowed tree or something like that. It's like a forest, right?
Oh,
yeah. It's awful. I think Dabby froze.
I did freeze, but I said it looks like throw up. It looks like throw up. Their whole court looks like throw up.
That's right. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Dabby, I know you got a show coming up. I want to make sure you get out of here and get prepared for that. I'm going to give you the solo thing. Just plug it for the people and tell them where you're going to be.
Solo thing. Oh, you didn't have to do this, man. Hey, PubSports Radio. You guys know the deal. We're all family here. Guns is over there with us. We're over here with Guns. So I'm sure you already know all about it. But tune into PubSports Radio here in just 15 minutes. We're going to go live for this Houston Baylor game. We're going to look for live bets, and we're going to have pregame action. My dude C-Mac will be rocking with me. Gun said he's going to hop up there with me. It's going to be a good time. So tune on over there when you get done with this. But shout out to all you guys, Michael, Peter, everybody in the chat. Miss Hound, good to see you in here, Miss Hound. EQ, everybody. Can't wait to get back here with you guys and let's make some fucking money this Saturday.
Hell yeah. And yes, I will be there 12 p.m. I'll be sweating that bet, at least for the first half. And then I got to bounce. I got oblos. But Dabby, thanks for coming in. We'll see you at 12 o'clock for the live stream on PubSports.
Yes, sir.
Woo! And we're going into the next play here. I got 2 more plays for you guys. I just want to make sure you rock it. I had to get Dabby out of there. He's on a time crunch. I appreciate him showing up. But we're going to be banging this other one that's coming up here. Texas Tech is going on the road. They're going to go play UCF. This game does tip off at 4 p.m. East. Additional Financial Arena is the spot. Orlando, California. Glendale, Florida is the place to be. We ain't in Disneyland, folks, but we're in UCF. It's not the bounce house, but it's close to it. Let's go with UCF on the money line here. Let me switch the hat. The new buy hat is out. We're rocking UCF today. Let me tell you why. Texas Tech's offense is good. 15th in offensive efficiency, 54th in field goal percentage, 39th in three-point percentage, and 13th in free throw percentage. Great on the offensive side. However, they're going against a UCF team that is great on the defensive side. 18th in defensive efficiency, 36th in defending shots, 28th in turnover percentage, and they're 4th in blocked shots. So they can defend, they can get in your face, and they can create problems if you're trying to, in terms of contesting shots. While the UCF offense has struggled, they lack in the shooting department, correct? 293rd in field goal percentage, but they make it up in the rebounding, 68th in offensive rebounding, and they're going against a Texas Tech team that's not great defensive rebounding, 273rd in the country in defensive rebounding. So I think there's going to be a lot of second chance opportunities for this UCF team, even though they can't make their shots. And then UCF is just better at home versus the road. They're 75.8 points per game at home, 67.1 points per game on the road. Defensive side of the ball, they're absolutely exceptional. 69 points per game given up to their opponents at home, 74.5 points per game on the road. So there is a dynamic there from home versus away splits. Then you got to look at Texas Tech's defense on the road. At home, they give up 62.9 points per game. But on the road, they give up 76.6 points per game. So this is a bad defense that doesn't travel here for Texas Tech. Then the revenge factor kicks in. There's another checkbox. UCF did lose to Texas Tech 66-59 to 7.5 point road dogs. Now the line is 1.5 2 weeks later. So we had the line correlation too. Plus Texas Tech on the road, 1-6 ATS in the last 2-5 ATS on the road this season. 1-6 ATS in the last 7 games overall. 1-4 straight up and ATS in their last 5 road games. Then you have a UCF team. Now they need a win. They've been struggling. Last 7 games, they're 1-6 straight up, but they're hungry for a win. And I think going back home against this good Texas Tech team is the motivation to get them over the hump. I think they get it done here. That's why I'm just taking them to win. Give me UCF. Money line, -105 is the number that I got. 1.5 unit banger, baby. Going back to the chat, of course, saying his goodbyes to Dabby, Michael, and then awesome guys. Thank you, Dabs. Guns, let's go. I have one. Listen, I'm still firing picks. You got to stay with me here, folks. Stay with me. I said, wait, UCF not playing the bounce house. I freaking love that name. I mean, what's the nickname of the court? The pit, the rack, the jungle. What do you think, Guns? I think they should just use the bounce house or the trying to think. You can't. I mean, the football stadium's the bounce house, right? So you have to correlate it to that game. Why isn't the gym the bounce house? I mean, you're bouncing a ball in a court. That should be the bounce house. They should I think they should make the gym the bounce house and then make the football stadium something different. That's what I think. That's my opinion. Bounce house correlates to basketball, in my opinion. But I don't know. We'll have to think about that one. We got to brainstorm a little bit to try to figure out what they should name that. But yeah, they definitely need a name for their gym. All right. One more pick for you guys before I shut it down and we get to watch some games today. And I will be back 7:30 with the late night bangers, of course, as always. So let's go into the next game. We're going to the SEC. We're going to go play a little South Carolina versus Ole Miss. They're playing at 3:30 p.m. today. East Pavilion at Ole Miss is the place to be. Oxford, Mississippi. And I'm going to be going with the favorite here, unranked favorite versus a ranked dog. Give me Ole Miss -2.5, and I think 3.5s are on the board. Still fine at 3.5. 1.5 unit play. Let me tell you why. Key to this game for Ole Miss is the offense versus this SEC defense. Ole Miss's offense is 36 in offensive efficiency, 11th in 3-point shots, and 65th in free throw percentage. They're going against the SEC South Carolina team, 61st in defensive efficiency, 188th in defending shots, and they're not really good at getting turnovers. They're 302nd in turnover percentage. So there is an advantage there, I think, with Ole Miss, especially on their home court. Ole Miss doesn't have the greatest defense in the world. They're 136 in defensive efficiency, but at home, they're strong. They only give up 68.5 points per game versus giving up 77.2 points per game on the road. Then South Carolina's defense has dropped off on the road too. 70.5 points per game given up on the road, while they give up 61.6 points per game at home. Then the Gamecocks do drop off on the offensive side as well. 74 points per game at home, 68.5 points per game on the road. So what you see as a regression with this team, and quite frankly, I think they're a -2 point differential on the road for this South Carolina team. That's why we're going to be taking Ole Miss here. And it's a revenge game for that matter. Ole Miss lost to South Carolina 68-65, narrowest of margins at 3.5-point road dogs. They did cover the spread, depending on what number you got, if the line moved. Now they're favored here at 3.5. Now, I did get it at 2.5 last night. I'm going to say 2.5, 3.5. I think they win by 5 or 6 on this one. Then you got Ole Miss 6-2 ATS at home in their last 8 games. So you have a very powerful home team versus a South Carolina team that was the darling of all covers, winning a lot of games back to back to back. Now they've had back-to-back losses, dropping off the map, and they've had a week off. So there's a little bit of rust factor in there. And they just come off that loss to LSU by a point. I think this is a good spot to be taking Ole Miss at home in the Pavilion. Give it to me all day long. Let's switch the hat. New hat on. Give me the running, not the running Rebs. Give me the Rebs. -2.5 as a 1.5 unit banger. Across the bow. And Peter, of course, loves UCF today. Give him the horn for that one. And Michael back in the chat. Always chat with us. Love the interaction. Small school banger, North Dakota State money line. The Bison. Gotta say it right. Can't say Bison. You gotta say Bison. Will beat North Dakota, who is 9-1 in the last 10 in the first place. Line telling you everything. The Bison will hold home court. Lock it in. Can't talk you off that one. Really good assessment there, Michael. Might have to jump on you with that one. And he goes, "We are line guns." I like the way you think. Let's get that MF money. Can't swear on these anymore. I'm trying to, get that Disney contract. Just kidding. Relax, everybody. But that's going to do it for the plays. Of course, Dabby joining us, firing some shots, giving you some props, gave you some sides that he likes today. I'll be on PubSports at 12 with C-Mac and Dabby to go sweat out Houston and Baylor. So join me for that. I might fire out some more plays. I'm probably going to cap during the show for some of the later stuff. Just to recap for you guys what I'm going to be on today. Let's get Baylor +2.5. We're going to go Kansas State +1.5. We're going to go Wake Forest money line -130. We're going to go UCF money line -105. And we're going to end it off here with Ole Miss -2.5, -3.5 now. Go grab that. Either way, I think it's good as 1.5, all 1.5 unit bangers for the show. I appreciate everybody that's joined. If you're new to this, if you've If this is your first time here or you've already been here, you know what to do. You got to hit the thumbs button, first of all of you. I'm taking names. If you don't, I'll kick you out. No, I'm just kidding. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you know every time that I go live, because I can go live randomly at any point, anytime to go fire off some plays. Of course, if you want to join me tonight, I will be back 7:30 p.m. to break down the late night bangers. We always come back with the degenerate specials, the 8 p.m.s, the 9 p.m.s, the 10 p.m.s. We'll go all the way to midnight and talk Hawaii if you want to. But that's what we do. Late night bangers, 7:30 tonight with myself and I. So please join me for that. I'll fire off more plays then. But till then, let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the board. And as always, let's keep dancing. Bang!